Hi, I'm Dave, and this is Quick Picks, a channel dedicated to helping you take phenomenal corporate photography, whether it's for your business or your side hustle using Amazon, eBay, Etsy, etc., using only your smartphone, which is nuts, but they can do that now. This is the fourth video in this series where I'm showing you how to do this. The first video, you got to learn a little bit about me and why I'm doing this. In the second video, I talked about how to actually set up your smartphone so that it can take these photos. In the third video, I showed you how to use a light box so you can get those infinite white product photos that everybody out there loves, including possibly your own business's database. But in this photo, I'm going to go a little bit further and I'm going to show you what's going on as far as all the edits you can make when it comes to the different coloring options you have on your smartphone. So they're going to be things like talking about saturation and contrast. And what's important about this is I know a lot of you have probably messed with all that, but you're going to see the extremes on one end and everything. I'm going to explain what each one does, so you might be able to make just slight adjustments to make your marketing photos even better than they would be otherwise. Because in the next video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about taking marketing shots. That's going to be fun because why not? Everybody loves a good marketing shot, right? Anyway, let's get to those color adjustments. So here we are with yesterday's photo. We're just going to start looking at all the different things we can do color-wise by clicking Edit, and we have that bottom menu. So we're going to click Auto, and that's what Auto thinks we want it to look like. I respectfully disagree. Auto will work sometimes, and you'll probably want to try it with marketing shots, which is what we'll talk about in the next video, which is kind of why you're seeing all this stuff. And we can just play with Auto and see what happens, but now we're going to Exposure. You all know this one. You go to the right and you're going to blow it out a little bit, add too much light. You go to the left and you're going to make it way too dark. But you can see there's all kinds of little gray areas in there that you can play with to try and just make subtle adjustments to make your photos just a little bit better. That's how it is with all of this stuff. Now at Brilliance, it kind of makes the white go a little lighter. I don't know. I don't know how to explain Brilliance, to be perfectly honest. I keep looking at it trying to figure it out. It's almost like it takes the light values and tries to match them with the darker ones, or the darker ones and tries to match them with the lighter ones. I just don't know how to explain it. You'll play with it and see what you think. But now we gotta go back and set that back to 0. So now we'll look at highlights. You can see the lighter colors are going to get brighter. And there you can see it's all going to get a little darker if we go left. Highlights are great for if you're doing a marketing shot, which is why I'm showing you this stuff. It'll make it so the whites aren't so bad, so it's not so blown out. Shadows, obviously, you go left, they get darker. You go right, they get lighter. Shadows, good and self-explanatory. I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. Contrast. The darks are going to get darker and the lights are going to get lighter. But when you go to the left, you're going to see things kind of blend in. They kind of meld into each other. So the further right you go, the more contrast. The further left, the less contrast. Ooh, yeah, all kinds of subtle adjustments. This is really me just playing while I'm trying to show you stuff. Brightness, you just make the whole thing a little brighter. Darkness, or going to the left, you just make everything a little darker. Pretty self-explanatory when it comes to the brightness. Now, black point, you take the stuff that's close to black and you just make it a little blacker, and you can see the whole thing gets a little lighter there, or a little darker, I'm sorry. Now it gets a little lighter as we pull away from the black point. These are just little subtle adjustments you can do to try and make your photos a little bit better. Saturation, that's going to saturate everything. It's going to make all the color in the image very rich. So you can see there's a little bit of yellow in those windshields. That's why it went nuts, the windshield. And then you go all the way left and you get a black and white look. Pretty cool stuff if you really want a lot of saturation, or even just a bit. Vibrance, the difference is whereas saturation does all the colors, Vibrance kind of takes the midtones and messes with them. You can see when I go all the way left here, it doesn't fully make it black and white. So think midtones when you're playing with Vibrance. Ooh, man, it's tough to get it back to 0, driving me crazy. Warmth, you go to the right and everything's a little more yellow. You go to the left and everything becomes a little more blue, and you might need those subtle adjustments when it comes to the marketing photos we'll be discussing in the next video as well. Now tint, you go to the right, it gets a little more magenta, and if you go to the left, it gets a little more green. This is all just stuff that you learn while playing, things that you'll be able to put together as you're doing all your stuff. Now sharpness. You'll see what's going to happen is the edges are going to get a lot more defined with sharpness. Very crazy stuff, but it's also going to get a lot less defined if you go to the left. But you see, if you're really defined, you're also going to make it a little grainy, so you got to be careful with sharpness. You can make it a little sharp if, say, your photo is just a little blurry. You can sharpen it up a bit, but if you go too nuts, it's not going to look so hot. And now definition. It's just, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. It's more defined if you go to the right, and really it just goes back to the norm when you go left. Noise reduction. That's kind of what happens when you use too much sharpness, is you'll see those grainy textures, and then you'll use noise reduction to kind of get rid of that grain. You can see where it kind of fuzzed out a little bit there. So if it's too sharp, that's where you bust out noise reduction. Now we've got vignette. You can see you're just making the borders a little darker. And that's really it. Now, if going all the way left here, if it weren't a white photo, you would see that the corners would be getting lighter as well. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty simple stuff, and I'm sure many of you have messed with these settings already. But in case you haven't, I wanted to make sure you knew what all there were as far as options were concerned, because these are things you're going to use when it comes to creating the perfect marketing photos, which again is what we're going to discuss in the next video. Now, keep in mind, I can help 20 of you at a time when it comes to the Lightbox photos. So if you've got hundreds or even thousands of photos that need editing and you just don't have the time, get a hold of me at dave@quickpics.com. We'll work something out, I'll see what I can do to help you, and I will turn these around quickly, as long as we can get you set up so you can take the photos in a way that makes it so I can get them back to you quickly. That's what the previous video is all about. Now, I'll be sure to leave all the Lightbox and all that information in the video description below. Those will be Amazon affiliate links, which means I'll get a cut if you spend anything on purchasing any of that stuff, but I think it's going to help you quite a bit. So the reason I'm bringing it up and talking about it is because it's something that's going to be great for you when it comes to your own product photos that you can put pretty much anywhere. Again, now I'm feeling long-winded, so I'm going to shut up, and we're just going to move on to that next video. So until you check that one out, I'll see you next time. Have fun.